I leave the sunshine to the flowers, I leave the night time to the trees, I leave the old folks a precious memory of someone upon their knee. I leave the night time to the dreamers.
In this film, we'll meet the retired fishermen who meet every Monday afternoon at the Fisherman's Mission on the Fish Quay in North Shields. We'll meet Walter, Ray, Don, Angelo, Lance, Jumbo, Ron, all with tales to tell of the sea. They'll talk about their lives as fishermen and seamen, tales of storms, adventure, and a deep respect for the sea. So let's get started with how things were when these men were children and young men first starting out at sea.
I used to hear somebody say that for every fisherman that went to sea, there were 6 people working on the quay. You know, either from fish filleting, net mending, engineering, boat repairing, that type of thing.
I used to always be down the quay every morning when I was going to school, having a look round. Yeah, seeing all the fish laid out on the market.
Can you imagine? The best way to describe it really is an anthill. You know how many hands come? That's what this was, a hive of activity. Everywhere you look, there was fish stalls all along here. There was over 100 smokehouses in Shields. You know where they'd done the kippers and that. They've all gone. See, trawlers and herring boats tied bow in, which is the narrowest space they can take up from right at the bottom of the gut, right away the full length of the quay as far as you can walk up, tied in like that, side by side, jam-packed, and when they couldn't get tied in there, they'd be tying at the buoys out there. And if they weren't there, they were landing. So if there was that many boats in, how many was there fishing?
Walter and Jumbo are the oldest in the retired fishermen's group, so they've seen the most changes in the fishing industry over the years.
How long were you at sea?
Almost 40 years.
So how do you think things have changed?
Dramatically. There were coal-burning boats when I went, and after the war, they got diesel trawlers, saying you did away with the coal burners.
One boiler.
Smaybox.
Three fires to the one boiler.
How many years were you at sea?
47.
So how old were you when you became a fisherman proper?
16.
So as soon as you left
school? I went apprentice for 1 shilling a day. Used to do 10 days at sea, and you get 2 days in.
What was the camaraderie like on the boat?
Oh, smashing. That was, it kept you at sea. That was one of the main things. As you were grunting, you were singing, you know. As I was walking along the fish quay, shortly after tea, haddocks and dabs and bloody good crabs are all after me. They're all after me. Haddocks and dabs and bloody good crabs are all after me.
Ray's fishing career began before he could even walk.
Well, all I've known all my life from being a baby, literally, I was born into fishing. My family was fishing. I was born into a fishing family. I was born in a fish shop because my dad went to sea to catch fish, and my mother fried it, made fish and chips, and she sold them in the fish and chip shop afternoon and the night time. And when I was 3, I first went to sea on a fishing boat when I was 3. My dad used to carry us down on his shoulder, take us on the boat, and off we'd go. I once drove the boat from here to Sunderland when I was 6. Yeah. Stood in the wheelhouse on a fish box.
On a fish box.
As soon as the school holidays started, I was on the boat, one of the family boats. Easter, Whitsun, summer, what we used to call Blackberry Week, which is half-term October time, and then the Christmas holidays. Yeah. Well, I started going full-time when I was 15, and by the time I was 21, I was a qualified skipper.
I just wondered any kind of memories you've got as a boy, just kind of growing up, with the fishing industry going on all around
yeah,
you.
Well, in Cullercoats, they used to go out fishing there at nights with their cobles. And we used to play it on the great big field where they had all their cobles when they weren't out fishing. We used to just play hide and seek there. Just a small fishing boat, but they're not the ones you would go out to sea, you know, for a few miles off. Well, not too many miles off.
There was much hunger, hardship and ill health when these men were younger, but they knew about survival, and they'd get hold of food and other essentials in many ways.
When I moved to Shields, I used to come down here, and we used to go on the trawlers when they come in and go through their nets to see if they'd left any fish in. And we used to get one or two of them. Yeah.
Great.
Surprising. Yeah.
So would your mum be happy for bringing that back?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, I mean, life's changed all right. I mean, right from my childhood, in the bottom of Byker and St. Peter's Basin, now what they call St. Peter's Basin, it was poverty-stricken. We used to go to the shipyard and ask for bread left, please. Beg bread. We were starving in them days. 1926, mind. From then until I was about 1932, we used to do that, and we used to get clogs off the school and boots off the police, because we were really in poverty. And worse still, we were left orphans, my brother and I, when I was only 3.
In Lance's case, it was the sea air and eating fish that helped him to get better when he was ill.
There were terrible days when I was a boy, and money was hard, and a lot of people out of work. And of course, most of the people I knew had rickets, they thought I had TB. And when we used to have summer holidays, I used to go to see my dad for a month. The doctor said, when you had examiners, they can x-ray it, and he said, no bother, no. And I said, when I went to see, that made the big cost, plenty to eat, you know, well, plenty of fish.
Well, fish is very good for you, isn't it? It's very healthy.
Lovely, yes.
Fresh fish was a massive part of the daily diet of these men when they worked, and they still love eating it today.
What's your favourite fish?
Haddock. Haddock are called skate, but you cannot get it. Not now.
Lemon sole. That's my favourite. I quite like cod. I like all fish. Really. There's very little comes out to sea will do you any harm, you know.
Not all of the men in the retired fishermen's group were fishermen. Angelo was a miner, but both of his brothers were fishermen.
I was about 10 years old, and my two brothers, we used to live just up the top of the street here. My mum had to wash all the clothes and iron them for the following day. So she still made a bag of clothes. Take it down to your brothers. So I come down here on the quay again.
So they were older than you?
They were about 10. And I tried very older than me.
Right.
So he said to me, he says, they got the clothes. Well, I didn't know they were ready to go to sea. So I jumped aboard the trawler, and the car stopped and they took me away with them. The first 3 days I never moved out the bunk. I was ill. And I remember the skipper saying, Archie, come here. There's a wheel. You know, colour coats, you know, the church of colour coats. Well, but a mile up there, he says, keep that in your leg, and I'm steering, and we'll be like the trawler. And he comes on the knob, he says, we'll be on the beach if all long, come here. He took the boat and come here, and we'll come back here, and I says, brothers, there's no way I'm going to sea.
There's been a busy sea trade in the northeast for a long time, but not just trading fish. Tommy was a merchant seaman, sailing the world to bring cargo to and from Britain.
So what kind of things did you learn at sea?
Well, see, I was illiterate. I never went to school. And I had the rickets on my legs, what they call irons, you see, on my legs. And I went to school. And of course, I didn't have any parents, so there wasn't any chance of buying us comics and things like that, you see. So that I'm self-taught, you see, and that's how I learned.
If Tommy hadn't have loved the sea life so much, he could have made it as a professional singer.
Did you sing on the boat? when you were in the merchant navy?
Did you sing when you were at sea?
Yes, love. I was young and everything, and I could sing. I mean it, but well, I'm 83, so you can imagine you haven't got the breath. You can't get the eyes what you want to be.
Pub sing.
Did you ever think of leaving the boat?
Did you ever think of leaving the boat?
Oh, no. I was a born sailor. I loved the sea. I did. I loved the sea. I never thought about coming ashore or nothing. I'm not a millionaire who's burdened down with care. His load is on his mind. He's thinking of the day when he will pass away and leave his wealth behind. I haven't any gold to leave when I grow old. Somehow it's passed me by. I may be poor, but still I leave a precious will when I must say goodbye.
This wouldn't be a film about Fisherman's Tales if there weren't any stories about storms. Ray starts us off. After 2 days of steaming out to fishing grounds, the weather took a dramatic turn for the worse.
By now, it was about 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. I says, look, we're not steaming in the dark the way the weather had really deteriorated, the great big breaking seas, and she was only a 54-foot boat. I says, we'll put the anchor down and we'll just ride it out till daylight and then finish in daylight. And the next thing I knew, I was swimming in the wheelhouse. A great big sea had come along and hit the boat, parted the anchor gear down near the anchor, swung the ship over on our side like that, and then another one had come, landed on the boat, smashed the wheelhouse door in completely, filled the wheelhouse full of water. The boat was half submerged underwater. There was only the wheelhouse and the mast sticking out the water, and I was up to there in my skipper's berth, which was the after side of the wheelhouse, with water. I started swimming. I swam from my berth into the wheelhouse, and just the lad who was on watch was trying to shut the door to stop the water coming in. I said, no, open the door, let the water out. So we opened the door and opened the windows, and as the boat was slowly rolling, the water was pouring out the windows and out the door till we finally got the wheelhouse clear, and the boat came up. I went full ahead, and she lifted herself out the water. She was completely underwater at that time. Another few minutes and she'd have probably, at the time I didn't feel a thing. All I could think of is full ahead, get her moving through the water, and she'll lift out the water and we'll be away and clear, which is exactly what happened. It's only 10 minutes after when you're lying there. What the hell? What happened?
Walter's storm story has a tragic end, about how a crew member got washed overboard and nobody saw.
You've got lifelines up, when you're steaming in really bad weather. But if a sea comes aboard and it hits you, knocks you right off your feet, and you float away with the water. You float over the top of the rail. And you're gone then. It was our turn to go on one. Stray was made Jimmy Blacklock and a lad called Davy Noble. All Shields lads. He went along to the galley to make a cup of tea. Well, see, he's a long time. We had to wait half an hour. Long time for a cup of tea. Davy Noble went up. Nowhere there. Went down the engine room. He wasn't there. Called the skipper out. We went back half an hour and tried to look round, but no, he was gone. The weather was too bad. Too cold and all. One away from Iceland, Davy.
Fishing is still the most dangerous civilian job today, as it was when these men were working. Jumbo's story shows how a sense of humour really helps get through the rough and risky times at sea.
Well, fishing in the North Sea somewhere I didn't know really, because I was only a common fireman. And were hauling the net in. It was a bit rough. Then all of a sudden this fella gone heat over into the water. Right? And the fireman jumping on the top of the case and high the life belt, hit him right in the mouth. And he grabbed it. And it were getting washed away from him and all at the time, like you say. But it happened, but a couple of waves come in, washed him towards me. We got him aboard. When we got him aboard, the skipper says, the next time he goes swimming, ask me my permission.
Fishermen have lots of unusual superstitions to help keep them safe at sea.
You never mentioned rabbits. You never had a rabbit aboard a boat. You never had rabbits for your dinner. No.
We wouldn't sail on a Black Friday. And
What's a Black Friday?
well, that was the 13th.
Okay.
13th, Friday the 13th. Wouldn't sail on a Black Friday.
I've done it myself.
Yeah?
What they call burning the witches.
Yeah.
It's a silly superstition. Where it's come from, I learnt it from my father. Getting a can of diesel, open can, you know, about a gallon in it of diesel, dipping rags in it, and going right away around the reel with the diesel. Then setting the rag afire, chanting, burn the witches away.
Why?
Well, mainly because they're having a really bum trip to get rid of the bad luck. Words. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, some of them used to stand there and say, that blooming crackers, but believe it or not, it worked, and it worked every time.
The Fisherman's Mission has always provided many services for the fishermen, their families and the fishing community. Although their role is changing today by providing more welfare help, they still provide varied support today as they did yesterday.
But there's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes what the public don't know about. All right, they see the mission canteen and they think that's what it's all about. It's not. There's a lot behind the scenes goes on.
Oh, I've always gone to the mission. One time, I don't know, it's not now. There used to be a mission ship used to come down to feed the boats fishing on a Sunday and have a service. Years ago.
Out at sea?
Huh?
Out at sea?
Out at sea. On a Sunday morning.
Wow. So would you all stop fishing and
You stop fishing.
the boats would come together?
Yeah, for an hour.
How many boats would be there?
Oh, 30 or 40 boats sometimes.
I can remember, and Raymond will tell you as well, going out in the morning, you know, maybe 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, we'd only get maybe an hour out, and we'd say, well, the weather's too bad, we'll all come back in again, because it wasn't weather for fishing, so we'd all come back in again. No sooner would the boats be tied up in the harbour, and you'd find most of the crews in the mission, and we'd be talking about, you know, where the prawns were yesterday and that type of thing. Tell a few lies.
Paul Schoen is the superintendent at the North Shields Fishermen's Mission.
These old-time fishermen have got incredible stories to tell. They don't always want to tell them straight off. You've got to wind them up to it. But once they get going, they all come out. The things that they've done and the places that they've been to. And it's stories that we read in books and see in films. These guys were there. They lived them. They were part of this maritime history, this maritime heritage that we've got, that we take so much for granted. The old retired fishermen had none of the modern electronic gadgetry on board. They had none of the winches on board for getting the nets on, and they worked on open boats. There were no shelter decks in those days. These men stood out in the open, in the wind and the rain and the sea and the spray, and they're as tough and as hard as they come.
Being a fisherman involves working very long hours, and in summer being out at sea for up to 2 weeks at a time. The Old Fish Quay Festival was called the Fisherman's Regatta and was started by the fishermen to have a great day off work with their family and friends.
Well, when we started the Fish Quay Festival, we started as a sort of fisherman's gala type thing, where we had a fishing queen and all this type of thing, and all the boats sort of dressed up with our flags and everything, and we made it a day for ourselves, and there was little bits of competition, who had the best dressed boat, and we sort of paraded up and down the river, and that's sort of, we got the lifeboat and everything included, and then it sort of got a bit commercialised, you know.
It was ideal, it was perfect when I first started.
That's when we went to Hawaii and we'd done the boat up with coconut trees and everything. Oh, the boat had a grass skirt on. Kids, there would be the fishermen and their family and the crew's families and their families, you know, everybody. I mean, each boat used to have about 30, 40 people on board. And all used to get together and everybody used to have a great time. And it was a great day out and the whole fleet took part. And then the council took over after a few years and wrecked it.
The fishing industry has changed drastically since these men were working. Where there were over 100 fishing boats working from North Shields, there are now only around 20. These retired fishermen think deeply about the situation and have ideas about how the fish stocks and industry can recover.
I always thought we might have, when it come to cutting of fish quarters, I thought they might have said, well, we'll take that half of the North Sea and you don't fish in that half at all for 6 months, a year, you know, whatever they decide, and fish in the other half instead, and then vice versa, and things like, see what that done. I feel sorry for the fishermen, you know.
It's just overfishing, really. Basically, you know, the top and bottom of it is overfishing. You know, and they've cut the fleets back, and that hasn't worked. What the North Sea wants is a long rest, just in the spawning season. January, February, and into March. This is the spawning period for the North Sea fish, and that's not just one species. It's cod, haddock, whiting, plaice, lemon soles, ling. All the fish you've seen in the shop yourself, cod roes. Well, in each one of them cod roes, there's 1 million fish. So think about it. Every time somebody's bought one cod roe, just close it for them 3 months. Government subsidise the fishermen. Stop everybody, but pay everybody. Make sure they've got a living.
Having spent so many years as fishermen, let's find out what the fisherman's relationship is like with the sea.
Anybody that goes to sea has to respect the sea. You just can't go out there and just say, well, you know, when we all know that it could get pretty nasty up there at times. But you do, you know, make provisions for that as well. Either you can get away from it and go into shelter somewhere, or you can make yourself pretty safe so, you know, you don't come into any danger.
What was the feeling you'd get when your boat was coming in, just like approaching the mouth of the Tyne, when you've been away for a couple of weeks?
Oh, you know, you feel as if an element of safety, really, and also, you know, think, right, I'll be able to see my wife and the children again. It was even better if you had a good shot of fish with you as well.
You loved it sometimes and you hated it other time. Yeah. And keep starting up and down. It's not very nice.
I don't care who it is or what fisherman it is, when it comes down to sailing, that day is the worst day of your life, when you're actually sailing. Once you're out there, it's great. And then when the seas at our worst, you know, I hate being here. And then when it finds a way and you shoot your nets and you come up and you've got a bag of cod or something, it's, what a great life is. You know, this is the way the sea is. She can be a great mistress, but you annoy her.
I'm singing me sailor song.
This is better than the television.
Why, I was scarcely 17 when I first went to sea. I was shipwrecked off the coast of France when a lady in a boat pulled me out by the coat. She put me to bed in a trance as I lay there in distress, and I watched that girl undress. She had the map of Scotland tattooed upon her chest, and further down, to my surprise, was the place where Nelson, he lost his eye. She had the land of Portuguese tattooed upon her knees, China and Japan upon her thighs. I was looking for Hong Kong, but her husband came along, so I read the rest of the world goodbye.